Hi, this is Pacha and Dasha, and we in Tallinn. In this episode, we will walk through medieval streets of the old town, climb up to the viewpoints and see Tallinn from above, show you places you definitely should visit, and try to find locations from the film Stalker. Honestly, you would need quite a lot of time to see all the sights in the city. You can spend an entire day wandering through the streets of the old town, because it really feels like a small island surrounded by modern high-rise buildings. The medieval atmosphere has been preserved here, and that's exactly what attracts so many tourists. And we are no exception. Even though we only had one day here, we completely fell in love with its mysterious and ancient atmosphere. Anyway, there's definitely a lot to see here, and we will try to show it all to you. But first, let's take a look at the map and get the general picture. Tallinn is the capital of Estonia, located on the coast of the Baltic Sea. It is home to one of the best preserved medieval cities in Europe. The old town is divided into two parts, the lower town and the upper town, also known as Toompea. The upper town is located on a 48-meter-high limestone hill and surrounded by strong defensive walls.
There are rocks sticking out the walls.
The first mentions of Toompea date back to around the 11th century, but 2 centuries later a battle took place here between the troops of Danish king Valdemar II and the united forces of Estonian tribes. The Danes captured the local fortress and began building this stronghold, the future Toompea castle. That's exactly what we are looking at right now. On the right side stands Stenbock House, the residence of Estonian government, and on the left is Patkuli staircase. Climbing it leads to one of the Tallinn's most famous viewpoints. From here you can see the rooftops of the city, Tallinn Bay with huge ferries even in winter, and one of the best preserved sections of the old city wall with its many towers. We will even climb some of them later, but for now we're just enjoying bright sun and snow of the upper town. In the center of this part of the city you can find the beautiful Dome Church. It's the oldest and main church in Tallinn. Inside you can find the famous Oregon epitaphs and tombstones, including that of Ivan Fyodorovich Krusenstern. But he already completed his journey around the world, while we still have to keep moving. Right across the street is the Estonian Academy of Science. It's easy to miss, but the building looks incredibly atmospheric and definitely deserves attention. You can even walk into the courtyard and look around. And here's a little tip: some buildings have plaques, like this one, meaning the building is considered a cultural heritage site. So always pay attention, because a place might surprise you either with its beauty or with its history. Continuing our route, just a couple of minutes later we arrive at Alexander Nevsky Cathedral on Lossy Square. Despite its monumental appearance and location, the cathedral has nothing to do with medieval architecture of the city. It's actually a relatively young architectural project, completed a little over a century ago. They say the cathedral has the largest bells in the country, and their ringing can be heard all across the city. But what impressed me most were the black domes.
The tiles look like dragon scales.
The cathedral stands directly opposite Toompea Castle, which for centuries has been a symbol of state power. From almost anywhere you can see the castle watchtower called Long Herman. Back in the day, Long Herman was a common name for the strongest and best fortified towers. Today you can see the Estonian flag, raised there every morning at sunrise together with the national anthem, though not earlier than 7 a.m. and lowered again at sunset, though not later than 10 p.m. What I personally remember most about the Upper Town is this viewing platform at the end of Kohtu Street. And as you probably already guessed, I'm clearly not the only one who likes this place. Just look at how many people are here on the morning of January 6 despite the freezing temperatures and strong wind. This is also a very popular photo spot, and of course, I wasn't going to stay aside and not join everyone else. We even managed to take a photo together after asking the tourist groups that arrived at just the perfect moment. And of course, the view from here is incredible. It's definitely worth coming here to enjoy the panorama of the lower town. From the balcony you can spot Tallinn Town Hall, St. Olaf Church, and the Church of the Holy Spirit. And through the binocular viewer, you can even see the beaches in the distance. However, I should seriously warn you that this location has a very jealous owner, a local diva and internet celebrity you will probably meet if you come here yourself. This seagull is the real star of the place. People photograph her even more often than the actual view from the balcony, and getting a picture with her is a privilege of its own. Likely we become friends with her, so say hi from us if you see her here. And if you look down from this viewpoint, you can see the beginning of Pikk Street. Translated from Estonian, it means long leg. It connects the upper Nati, a noble part of the city, with the lower merchant district. This is also where the border between the upper and lower town runs, which is why on one side you see buildings from the upper town, and on the other side buildings from the lower town.
That slippery sign is definitely there for a reason. No staging, no editing. They should just ask me for a film, that yellow house.
The street begins at the Pikk Gate Tower and stretches for 291 meters. Near house number 7, there's even a sign warning about pickpockets. We didn't notice any ourselves, but when you turn your head on the right, you will see a small fork in the road where another street branches off. It's called Lühike, which translates as short leg. It's the second way to the upper town. This street is almost twice short and consists mostly of a steep staircase. It ends at a gate tower with huge wooden doors. Interestingly, the lock and bar on the gate faces toward the lower town rather than the upper town, because the residents of the lower town were the ones protecting themselves from the nobility. Apparently, relations between them were not exactly friendly. And by the way, because of these two streets, long leg and short leg, Tallinn is sometimes jokingly called the limping city. One leg is longer and the other shorter. As for me, the lower town begins with the town hall building. It is the only surviving Gothic town hall in Northern Europe, and today it's still used for official receptions of residents as well as concerts. Well, and there's also a really cool restaurant inside. I'll talk about it later. At the top of the spire stands Old Thomas. Vana Thomas is the weather vane that has been one of the Tallinn symbols since 1530. Speaking of weather vanes, this part of the city is where I noticed some incredibly beautiful rooftop decorations. They are elegant minimalistic weather vanes, decorative tower finals, a golden lion with a weather vane even bigger than the lion itself. And right to the next town hall, there are two houses symmetrically decorated with a lion and a bear. It's so fascinating to look at that. The house with the lion is still interesting because it still preserves an old cargo hatch. Back in the day, goods were lifted directly to the upper floors using beams and ropes. So what looks like a regular window was actually a warehouse door. Long ago, the upper floors of these houses were used as storage spaces. And while this used to be a merchant house, today it's a popular restaurant that uses documented medieval recipes. And honestly, just look at the attention to details. Look at this menu. Look at this design. You could easily spend a lot of time at this single intersection just examining all the little details. There's always something interesting to catch your eye here. One of Tallinn's most important landmarks is St. Nicholas Church. The church was founded in the mid-13th century by Gotland merchants and dedicated to St. Nicholas, the patron of saint of sailors. Although the church was heavily damaged during the World War II, it was restored and today functions as both a museum and a concert hall. It is also one of the 4 branches of the Art Museum of Estonia. The ticket costs 15 euros per person, and inside it's absolutely beautiful. Originally, this church served not only as a place of worship and fortified stronghold, but also as a storage place for valuable goods. Later, in the 14th century, it lost its defensive role and became an originally medieval church. Now you can endlessly admire the vaulted ceilings and the light shining through the windows. And during Christmas season, there's also a beautifully decorated Christmas tree inside. Just look at that! But besides the beautiful interior, there's also an important relic here, a painting called Dance of Death. The idea behind is that the death leads people from every social class to the grave, from the poor nobility to merchants, peasants, men, women, and even infants. It's a reminder of the plague and the idea that nobody can escape death, and the painting invites everyone to join the dance. So yeah, memento mori, and let's go upstairs. There's a high-speed elevator here that takes you up to the height as 105 meters, and from here you truly get a full 360-degree view of the city. You should absolutely come up here, preferably early in the morning while there's still a very few people around, and you can experience the unique place in silence and solitude. In winter, all of this reminds me of gingerbread houses covered with powdered sugar. There's even an ice ring below that completes the feeling. And from here you can also see the TV tower, which can you climb as well, although we didn't make it there. Honestly, I would only go there in summer. It's too cold. Is that murmuration?
What is that? Ah, yeah, definitely.
Or maybe not.
A bird murmuration.
I'm really intrigued by that fair view. I feel like it's standing on the top of a building, like on a rooftop.
No, it just looked like that because of perspective.
And I was right, the Ferris wheel's actually on the top of the building. Wow, what else you can even say about it? By the way, from here you can also clearly see the Danish king's garden, so make sure to visit it. According to legend, 800 years ago the Danes were trying to conquer these lands and fought the local Estonians. At the head of the battle, a red flag with a white cross supposedly descended from the sky, the Dannebrog, inspiring the Danes to victory. Since then, this place has been considered the birthplace of the Danish flag. Back at Town Hall Square nearby you can find the oldest continuously operating pharmacy in Europe. The first mentions of it date back to the 1422, although even at that point the pharmacy already belonged to its third owner. On the windowsill you can spot symbols of old pharmacies, red flask representing blood and blue one representing lymph. This allowed people passing by to understand that the building was a pharmacy rather than a house or a shop. And even though the pharmacy is incredibly old, today it mostly sells modern medicine. Still you can find remedies from past centuries here as well. From quinine and pertussin in beautiful vintage packaging to harsh museum exhibits like dried toads, mummy juice, burned hedgehogs and snake potions. Poor hedgehog. They also sell pharmacy marzipan here. According to legend, an apprentice pharmacist named Mart once created a miracle stomach medicine for a member of the city council. Since the apprentice himself would also have to taste the medicine to prove it wasn't poison, he decided to mix in some new ingredients to make it less bitter and suspicious. The patient recovered, and that's supposedly how marzipan was invented. And later it became known as Mart's bread, in name of this pharmacist. But actually, I still believe marzipan was invented much farther south. Somewhere almost actually grow naturally, and here it simply arrived in this form. By the way, it's funny that while we were walking around the pharmacy, a girl came running in. She'd heard somewhere that this pharmacy sold aphrodisiac marzipan, and she really wanted to buy some because she thought it would make everyone fall in love with her. Anyway, for her, marzipan is like a love potion. I'm really glad they told her it doesn't work that way, but it was really funny. We also decided to get on the story too and try this legendary marzipan. Well, I'll add that no miracle happened. Nobody's stomachs got better, and by the way, nobody's stomach hurt. It didn't work as a love potion either, but honestly, that's not a problem either. It's less sweet and more almond-like, I guess. Not like the one from the store. Pretty cool. I like it. Also, just a 3-minute walk away is this church, which is the only sacred building that has preserved its original appearance to this day. Its most remarkable feature is the beautifully carved clock. It was created by Christian Ackermann, the first independent sculptor in Estonia. Of course, while walking through Tallinn, it's impossible not to notice the towers, defensive walls and gates surrounding the lower old town. Naturally, not everything survived to this day. We started our route along the defensive walls and towers at the Nun Gate. To the right stands Nun's Tower, and to the left is Sauna Torn. As the name suggests, this tower was named after the sauna of St. Michael Convent, which was a monastery for women of noble origin. From Nun's Tower, you can climb onto the city wall itself and walk along it, exiting through another tower called Kuldiala, which in ancient time was known as the Tower of the Monastery Courtyard. Not far from here stands an old granary building, one of the largest in the city. Today it houses the Museum of Applied Art and Design, but we didn't go inside actually. Instead, we decided that we also wanted to climb one of these sections of the city wall for the views of the medieval fortifications. And we choose Helliman Tower. In general, you can walk along almost any section of the wall by entering one of the towers and paying around 4 euros for admission. This tower used to be served both as a prison and a military storage facility, but today it functions as a museum. The upper town is over there. Once you climb inside, you can find various weapons, diagrams showing how the tower worked, and even this little privacy corner.
And right here, hidden in the deepest darkness, are the castle's facilities. By the way, you can really see the thickness of the walls here. Right at the very top, this section must be the thinnest part, probably, well, almost a full meter of nothing but stone. Well, okay, not just a stone. Honestly, it is insanely high. I really cannot imagine how anyone could even theoretically siege a fortress like this back then. Even now it feels terrifyingly high, and we are already used to tall buildings. And these wooden planks creak too, just so you can experience the full spectrum of emotions from this height.
The view from the wall is amazing, but honestly, walking there was a little scary. That day, everything was covered in ice, and it constantly felt like you could slip and fall right off the wall from the height of a 5-story building. We are walking, Pasha keeps scaring me, and apparently I'm actually really afraid of heights. And these planks are tilted too. So yeah, I'm terrified, but it's very beautiful here.
It is interesting how some medieval structures seems to just grow into newer buildings. Or maybe newer buildings grow into medieval structures. Especially that air conditioner over there fits perfectly.
To finish exploring the city walls, we headed towards the Great Coastal Gate and Fat Margaret Tower. This tower actually had several names throughout history. About 500 years ago, it was called the Round Tower, and later the New Tower of the Rose Garden, or Rosencrantz Tower. It's believed that the name Fat Margaret was given to it by Russian sailors in the second half of 19th century, while they were boarded on ships archered nearby. Although, honestly, I found way too much contradictory information online about why exactly it's called Fat Margaret. The answer changed depending on the language you search in. Maybe it was named after the cannons mounted on the tower, maybe because a woman named Margaret lived nearby, maybe it really was the sailors, or maybe nobody actually knows the truth. But one thing is certain, you should go inside for the history of Estonian seafaring and the rooftop terrace. By the way, I was impressed to learn that the thickest wall on the lower level is 5.1 meters thick, while the foundation itself is 6 meters thick, although from the city side the wall is only a little over 1 meter thick. A separate part of this video has to be dedicated to food, because honestly we loved pretty much every place we visited here. The first place is this restaurant and bakery in the old town. We had pumpkin soup and strudel here. And overall it was the perfect atmospheric spot to warm up on a cold winter day and enjoy a hot lunch. Right nearby is the oldest continuously operating cafe, open since 1876 and famous for its marzipan production. This cafe appears in basically every tourist guide, and despite the fact that we are not really dessert people, we still decided to stop by. Inside it was beautiful, incredible ceilings, lots of sweets and pastries everywhere. Overall, I think this is the kind of place you should visit if you want to slowly drink coffee, enjoy a dessert in a beautiful historical setting. Although I have to admit, my marzipan cake was genuinely unusual and really good. Our third place, and now we are slowly moving forward to the more interesting spots, is this legendary pancake restaurant. This is where you can try traditional local cuisine, and specifically we ordered solyanka soup here. It was amazing, but we also ordered stuffed pancakes, and honestly that was completely unexpected. They were about twice the size we imagined and unbelievably tasty. I would absolutely come back here again, so this place definitely gets our golden star. And now we are approaching our final place, and for me, this one is truly legendary. It's called Free Dragon. It's located directly on Town Hall Square, actually inside Town Hall itself. And the place immediately impressed you with its atmosphere. It feels like a real medieval tavern. When taking your order, they simply tell you what's on menu, because you can't actually read anything there. I mean, who could read in the Middle Age anyway? You eat from clay bowls, just like people did centuries ago, and they won't give you a spoon for the soup because, attention, they simply don't have any. But don't worry, you will manage. You're supposed to just drink the soup, and they also won't give you bread with it because apparently only prisoners ate bread with soup. But as a free person, I think you're free, right? You can order pie or wild boar sausages instead. By the way, while editing this video, I checked the review of this place again and noticed many people complaining about the staff being rude. But honestly, it feels more like part of the experience, like a game where the woman behind the corner is acting as the tavern keeper and you are travelers who accidentally wandered in there. Basically, nobody will come over to your table to ask whether you enjoyed everything. They won't give you a spoon, they will ask you to clean up after yourself, but at the same time, the food is unbelievably delicious, and the whole experience really impressed you in that atmosphere of a real tavern from centuries ago. I definitely think you should come here and experience it yourself and order the yelk soup. So yes, this place gets a 100% golden star from both me and Pasha. On the eastern side of the city lies a Rotterdam Quarter. It used to be an industrial complex and served as a filming location for scenes from Andrei Tarkovsky film Stalker. Specifically, the chase scenes leading up to the main characters entering the zone. In those scenes, they try to sneak past the border through dark industrial alleys among abandoned buildings. As it happened, Pasha and I had just recently watched Tarkovsky filmography and decided not to miss the chance to see one of the locations in person. Honestly, I don't know whether this will disappoint you or make you happy, but today this place looks absolutely nothing like it does in the movie. We did manage to find one gloomy building in the alleyway to scare you a little, but otherwise everything here is bright and decorated. The streets are cleaned of snow, parents with children walk from one candy shop to another. For some reason, there's actually several candy stores concentrated in this tiny area. Still, despite how much the streets have changed, we were able to recognize several scenes from the film. For example, right here the main characters stopped and turned off their car to hide from the police. Even the restaurant sign kind of confirms that we defined the locations correctly. After dark, we returned to the old town again, where we discovered a cozy little place called St. Catherine's Passage. It's a narrow passage squeezed tightly between walls, and if you look up, you can see wooden beams stretching across above your head. Originally, we used it to stabilize the buildings on both sides. On the right side stands the preserved wall of the former church of St. Catherine. Attached to it are stone grave slabs from the old burials. Those tombstones belonged to wealthy citizens, members of guilds and the city council. After the church was destroyed, some of the slabs were preserved and placed onto the wall, although others were even reused as construction materials. Later, some of the gravestones ended up in private collections and were taken out of the city. Over time, they were gathered again, restored and returned to Tallinn. Today, they once again form part of the city's historical heritage and serve as a reminder of its past. And on the left side of this passage, you will find many restaurants and artisan workshops. Overall, it's an incredibly atmospheric, interesting and unique place. I definitely recommend stopping by. Winter Tallinn made us fall in love with it at the first sight. It's one of the most interesting and atmospheric places we have ever visited. Looking back at our little journey, and it really was little since we had one day here, we realized that it simply wasn't enough to fully discover the capital of Estonia. Of course, before the trip we researched all the main locations we wanted to visit and kind of formed an image of the city in our minds, but reality completely shattered those expectations. Tallinn turned out to be more diverse, deeper and somehow more soulful than we had imagined. I really hope we come back here someday to once again experience this winter atmosphere that somehow feels warm despite the cold. Thank you for watching the video until the end. Subscribe, stay with us, leave your comment and tell us whether you'd like to visit Tallinn yourselves or maybe you already been here and you can share your own impressions of the city. See you in the next video. Bye bye! So, how was the trip?
Well, first of all, cold, and second of all, beautiful.
Agreed.
And backflip.